I'm Lou Englefield. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the campaign director of Football versus Homophobia.
Hi, I'm Natalie Washington. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm campaign lead for Football v Transphobia.
Hi, I'm Holly. I'm an events officer for the Football versus Homophobia youth panel. My pronouns are she and her.
And I'm Carolina. I am a project officer at Leap Sports Scotland, and we also manage the Football vs Homophobia Scotland side of things. And my pronouns are she, her as well.
No, I don't drive a Subaru. I drive, but I do drive a pickup truck. But in my defence, that is because I live on a small holding. So it's not just, gratuitous lesbian pickup truck. It does serve a purpose.
I need to look up what a Subaru actually looks like.
Well, I don't drive, so I'm fitting the stereotype that we can't drive. So there you go.
Okay. I mean, I have a license, but I don't drive here. I don't have a car in the UK. I'm looking at the cars and they all look really slick and cool. They kind of like a little bit sporty type cars. Maybe that kind of brings out the sort of sporty lesbian stereotype.
I think we should take it as a compliment, to be honest. At least it's not why do they all drive rubbish cars. It's a good car, so we'll take it.
It's not like maybe Fiat 500 would maybe be a different reaction. Ooh.
That would be an insult. Yeah.
That's a good choice of car. I quite like. There's the I wanted a Subaru once, so maybe there is something in it. But that was like the Subaru Impreza, the World Rally Championship one that was quite noisy.
So not your average Subaru then.
Why do lesbian? Ooh. Yes, the classic U-Haul lesbians. Yes.
I don't know. Why do lesbian relationships move fast? I don't know. Do they move fast? Oh, well, I suppose there's that whole U-Haul thing, isn't it? What do lesbians take on a second date? Their wardrobe or whatever.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's a reference to that, isn't it?
I think there is definitely truth in it. It's that classic, a week later, I was listening to some podcasts. There's a lesbian podcast or something here in Scotland, and they were like, so I met my girlfriend on Tinder, and we basically went on 3 dates, and after that she moved in and was basically living in my flat for the whole rest of our relationship in lockdown. I was like, you are a clear example of why lesbian relationships move so fast. I think there is truth to it.
I think I saw a TikTok the other day that said if a first date lasts less than 3 days, then it's just not a first date.
A relationship that is not so much constrained by the sort of heterosexual centered history of kind of being, relationships must be done in certain ways. You must have this long period of, and actually it's less constrained by that. So it's why is there this unwritten rule that you have to be dating for 5 years before you move in together? It doesn't have to be that way. If that works for you, then fine. But if it doesn't, it's I don't know.
But it's always used as a way to ridicule lesbians, and I wonder what that's about. Why is that so hilarious?
I know. What a strange thing to ridicule somebody for. Oh great, you got into a relationship that you were really happy with, and then you moved in together and you were happy. Oh, how awful.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds really good.
Definitely. What are lesbian parents called?
Mum?
Yeah, totally. I don't know.
Unless he's looking for a specific name, what's a I don't know. Yeah, it's just
lesbians or something.
yeah.
Lesbians.
Moms?
Yeah, I don't really feel like that question makes sense.
So
like, it's not quite obvious.
What are lesbian parents called? Parents or moms?
Yeah. It's not like. So I suppose that kind of comes from the thing of, who's the man? Like, no one. We are both women. Mm-hmm. So I suppose it's just like, does someone take on the father role or somewhere? No, it's just moms.
I remember my eldest daughter being in like a sociology class, and they were doing stuff around the family and the roles that men and women play traditionally in the family. And my daughter was just like, well, I've got two mums and neither of them takes on that particular role. They like share it between them. And I don't know, she ended up getting in loads of strife with her sociology teacher, who was convinced, I think, that one of us had to be, had to fulfill the male role in the family. So. Like during lockdown or not during lockdown? That's the main question here, I think. You can get to have you been able to get to a hairdresser in 6 months? I haven't, so hence,
Neither have I. Yeah.
I guess the go-to is like I have a couple ones that I can think of when people say lesbian haircuts, and it's like that one where you have like the buzz cut underneath and then like the long hair, and so then when you put your hair up, it has like the sort of buzz cut that you can see. That's a very typical, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's different types. This is what I would say. Because I think I'm pretty much like a bit of a stereotypical footballer, because I always have my hair in a bun. So that's potentially one. But then I don't have an undercut.
The high bun, yeah.
Yeah. I don't have an undercut though, so maybe I'm not quite meeting that. And then I think you also have like the pink hair, blue hair type as well.
Yeah. That's kind of like a like queer, like overarching queer haircuts. Is like put color in your hair.
Rainbows.
Well, actually, no, there's an interesting thing here that I always think is quite important, is actually like, as with any like sort of, if you can look at queerness as a cultural thing in some, which it obviously is in some respects, is there's an element of cultural like in-group signalling about this, isn't there? And you kind of want to be able to show that you are part of a group often. So it's a rite of passage, isn't it? Sometimes for queer women, particularly coming out, is like they like having a different haircut or something like that. It's obviously not for everybody.
Yeah, you're belonging.
Yeah,
totally. And I think it's really interesting as well how kind of things have changed. So it's kind of like, yet again talking about my children, but I remember one of my daughters saying to me, I made some joke about a lesbian stereotype, and my daughter said to me, but that isn't the stereotype anymore, Lou. Lesbians don't have all have short hair. They're like sporty, and they all have ponytails that are like really tied back with little footballers bands around the front. Yeah. And
although my whole football team does that, and an awful lot of them aren't lesbians.
No, exactly.
But I suppose that's practicalities, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. But I think there is also a kind of like way in which cultural assumptions about lesbians have kind of like have really changed. Those trends may have changed, or be more. Maybe there's more visible diversity, because there's always been a huge amount of diversity amongst lesbians, in my opinion, and my life experience. Kind of like we didn't all look the same in the 1980s.
Pronoun. Well, if lesbians identify as women, then maybe she, her, but maybe also they. Is that what it means? I don't really know.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
So that's interesting insofar as like I wonder to what extent it's like people have always, well, we talked about this a little bit earlier, didn't we? But people have always kind of like mixed up sexuality and gender identity a little bit, and obviously there's the complicated history behind that. But like, obviously pronouns are related to the avoidance of doubt for anyone watching. Pronouns typically are related to your gender, whereas obviously like your sexuality doesn't really have any impact on pronouns, although obviously there's a lot of cultural signals there as well. There's a lot of history of kind of gay men using she her pronouns kind of amongst friends, just as kind of it's a cultural signaling thing. He him lesbians obviously it existed as well, but like it's an interesting one. I guess there was a lot of discourse, wasn't it, like a little while ago, about like the idea of non-binary lesbians and the idea of lesbians that don't perhaps aren't women as such, and it was obviously very controversial because obviously the word lesbian is obviously very much connected with women for very, very obvious reasons. So I guess maybe it's a little bit of that. So I guess you could have lesbians who use they them pronouns, for example, but that's all I can think of. I might be overcomplicating it.
No, well, I can't think of anything, and then I may be thinking perhaps I'm too old to even know that there might be something to debate around that.
Yeah, it's like when people have it in their social media bios, and then people will basically use it as an insult and be like, oh, well, you've got your pronouns in your bio, and that is literally their response to a tweet, as if it's a bad thing. And it's almost like, well, yes, those are my pronouns, use them if you want. Like, I don't understand this whole, I don't know when pronouns became such a difficult concept for people to understand. Like, everyone has them. So
but in this case, they must just think like, oh, well, it's only people who are LGBTQ that have pronouns. So what are the lesbians' pronouns? What are the bisexuals' pronouns?
Lesbian pronouns are whatever lesbians choose them to be.
I don't know where to start with that.
Is that some like really bad joke? Like I can't even, I'm so rubbish at jokes, but I'm just thinking, is there some, lesbian version of Tyrannosaurus Rex or something like that? Do you know what I mean? That's some joke. I don't know.
Or is it just insulting someone who's quite old, who's a lesbian?
I'm a lesbian dinosaur. What's a lesbian dinosaur called? Lou Englefield.
Trying to think of something a bit punny.
Oh, I thought of something, but I don't want to say like an offensive term, even though I can say it, because I am a lesbian.
I feel like I know what you're going to say, but you're not going to say it.
Can I say it? Maybe not. I don't know.
No, I don't. Does it begin with D?
Yeah. Everyone knows, okay? It begins with D. Just that word, saurus. Like a saurus.
Yeah. That's what if we don't want to say that word, then we could just say Lesosaurus.
Ooh. Yeah, Lesosaurus is a good one.
Yeah.
What would it look like?
Good question.
Like, would it have like a flying feature? Like,
Yeah.
What is the flying dinosaur called? I'm really not good with.
It would just be the embodiment of all the features so it would catch feelings really quick. It would move in.
So it would be wearing Birkenstocks.
Yeah.
It would like have the undercut / high bun.
Drive a Subaru.
Yes, that's great. I can envision it in my head already. And like just super strong and like powerful, can just like do everything for itself.